Hi, guys. Can I just try to blow your mind today? Like, genuinely, lovingly take everything you think you know about time and lives and the soul and just tip it sideways. Because I think once you hear what I know about this whole past life thing, you're never really going to look at past lives and deja vu the same way again. I'm Kari, your host on Medium with a Mic, and I'm going to use this commonly asked question and try to explain it in a way that may make your brain run in circles, but in the best possible way. So let's start with two words. I'm going to use them today and then immediately complicate for you. Past lives. We all know this phrase. Most people picture it like a long hallway of rooms. You live one life, you die, you come back, you live another, you die, you come back again, stretching all the way back to ancient Egypt or whatever. And it's like a very dramatic, very long resume. Your past lives, though, are not past. They're right now. They're happening simultaneously, and your soul is in all of them at once. So let's start with time just for a minute here, because here's the thing: linear time, the idea that there's a yesterday and a today and a tomorrow, that's a human invention. That's something our brains need to function in a physical body on a physical planet. We need cause and effect. We need sequence. We need to know that breakfast comes before lunch, or we'd probably completely fall apart. But that is not how it works on the other side. I've had this confirmed to me more times than I can count. There is no when on the other side. There is just now. And eternal, expansive, all encompassing now. The soul your grandmother was at 8 years old and the soul she was at 80 are not separate things happening in sequence. They're layered, they're simultaneous. The moment of your grandmother's birth and the moment of her death exist at the same time in the same space because time, as we understand it, does not apply. This isn't just spiritual intuition, by the way. Physics has been quietly pointing to this for hundreds of years. Einstein's block universe theory suggests that past, present, and future all exist simultaneously as one four-dimensional structure. Time doesn't flow. We just perceive it that way because we're moving through it. The physicist Carlo Rovelli writes about how at the quantum level, the equations of physics actually work the same in both directions. There's no fundamental arrow of time built into the universe's operating system. We added that. Now, I'm not a physicist, and you probably didn't come here for a physics lecture, but isn't it something when the science starts to rhyme with the spiritual? When the people studying the hard edges of reality start saying, well, time might not be what we think it is. So, when I say your past lives are happening right now, I'm not being poetic. I mean it literally. From the soul's perspective, outside of human linear time, all of your lives are concurrent, running parallel, happening on different strata. Okay, so let's get into the structure of this because this part's cool. I think of the different lives your soul is living as being on different strata, like layers of rock in the earth or like channels on a television. Each one is complete. Each one has its own timeline, its own era, its own circumstances. One might be happening in what we'd call ancient China. One might be happening in the 1800s in rural Ireland. One might be happening in what we'd call the future. They're all going at the same time on their own strata. And here's where it gets wild. These strata can actually transverse each other. They can intersect. It's very rare, but it happens. And when it does, when two of your concurrent lives brush up against each other, that might be what's happening when you meet someone and feel an inexplicable, immediate, bone deep recognition. That sense of, I know you. I've always known you. Where have you been? But here's the thing I really want you to think about. You can actually meet yourself in another life, a different concurrent version of you, living on a different stratum, and you probably would never know it because you wouldn't look the same. You might be a different gender, a different race, born in a different century. The soul frequency would be familiar in some way you couldn't name, but you wouldn't look in the mirror and see yourself. How many times have you met someone and just felt something? A resonance you couldn't explain, comfort that didn't make any logical sense. I'm not saying every one of those experiences is you meeting yourself. It could be your one of your soulmates that you travel with. But I think some of them might be. And that's a lot to carry around, isn't it? Now, why are all these lives happening? What is the point to all this complexity? Let me tell you what I believe, because this is the part that's really cool. I believe that each of us in this human body right now is a single spark of light. We are a small piece of light that broke off from something much larger, our higher self. So think of your higher self as this huge, full flame, the source consciousness, the total soul. And we are one spark that flame sent out into a human life to go have an experience. But here's what I think is so extraordinary about this. Your higher self didn't just send one spark, it sent many all at once into different bodies, different eras, different circumstances. And all of those sparks are working on the same question, not the same answer, the same question. Think about that. Your higher self has a question it needs to understand completely from the human perspective, from every possible angle. What does it feel like to love and lose? What is the nature of power? What does it mean to survive? And so it sends sparks into wildly different human circumstances, different skin, different culture, different century, different economic reality, so that the question gets explored from every conceivable direction. And when those sparks return, when we complete this human life and go home to our higher self, we bring back everything we experienced. We return with it. And the higher self, that great flame, becomes more complete. And so do we. It's building a full picture, one answer infinitely faceted. Now, I also believe that many of us come in with what I'd call a soul purpose, a specific intention or assignment for this particular life. And that soul purpose may or may not be directly related to the big question the higher self is exploring. Sometimes the soul purpose is very individual, to heal a specific pattern, to experience a specific kind of love, to break a specific cycle. Sometimes it connects directly to the larger tapestry. Sometimes it's both. This is why I don't tell people they came here to learn a lesson. I don't love that framing at all. Lessons sound punitive. You didn't do anything wrong that requires correcting. You came here to have an experience, to gather something, to add a facet to that diamond that is your total soul. You're not a student being graded. You are a spark on purpose. Think about when all of those souls that are all one get together and have all of those questions answered about the human experience. Okay, now let's talk about the thing that happens to almost everyone that almost nobody has a satisfying explanation for: déjà vu. The neuroscience explanation goes something like this: there's a brief misfiring between the memory formation system and the perception system in your brain, causing your brain to tag a new experience as already remembered. It's a glitch, a hiccup, nothing to see here. And look, I appreciate that explanation, and I won't tell you it's completely wrong. Our brains are wild and complicated, and they do misfire. But here's what I'd ask you to consider: what if the glitch is real? What if the sense that you've already been here, already done this thing, is accurate, just not in the way your rational mind wants to categorize it? What if deja vu is a message from another stratum? I believe that what we experience as deja vu is exactly that: a bleed through, a moment where the membrane between concurrent lives becomes thin enough that something passes through, a snippet, a flash, like picking up someone else's conversation on a radio frequency, except the someone else is also you. Sometimes I think deja vu is showing you something that already happened in another life running on a different timeline. You've been in this moment before, just in a different body, a different century, different wallpaper. Sometimes I think it's something that is going to happen or is destined to, and the awareness of it is reaching backwards across the strata to tap you on the shoulder. And sometimes, and this one is one that's interesting, I think it's a confirmation, a little signal from the universe that says, yes, this is right. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. This moment is written your own path. Look at your Akashic records. Pay attention to where you are and what you're doing when deja vu hits, because I genuinely believe it's not random. There's something in that moment that your larger soul wants you to notice. So, what do we do with all of this? I think the first thing and the most liberating thing is to release the story that you're on a single track and you have one life. That this life is your one shot, your one chance, your one opportunity to get it right or get it wrong. That pressure needs to be put down. You are not one fragile spark doing a high wire act alone. You are one tiny facet of an enormous multi-dimensional soul that is gathering experience from 100 different angles. This life matters. This experience matters. And also, you are held in something so much larger than this one lifetime. The second thing I'd like to invite you to do is start paying different kinds of attention. Notice the people who feel immediately familiar. Notice your reoccurring themes. What have you not really quite figured out about those things that keep happening over and over and over again? Not as burdens, but as questions your soul keeps returning to. Notice your deja vu moments and ask, what is happening right now? What is being confirmed? And the third thing, the one that I come back to again and again, is this: there is only now, not just for the universe, but for you too. The present moment is where your spark is fully lit. Whatever other lives your higher self is running, whatever other strata are operating right alongside this one, the only place you can actually be is here, in this body, in this moment. That's not a limitation. That's the whole point. You came here to be fully, completely, 100% in this human experience. And that means the most sacred thing that you can do is exactly what you're doing right now, living it. Now, I want to just add one more note before I close, because I can hear you asking this question. If your higher self, or our higher self, is so grand, why does it not know what it's like to have a human experience? Right? Did you ask that? Because I heard it. And I'll just remind you that on the other side, in the upper room, there is no pain, no sorrow, no fear or ego, none of the very human traits that we shed at death are in the higher room. We shed all of that in the crossing over process. So they don't have that experience because it's nothing but pure love, unconditional, nurturing love on the other side. And what a what an amazing concept. There is nothing to fear about going home. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I mean it. You could be anywhere and you're here, and that's not lost on me. If this episode made you think differently about deja vu or about what your soul is actually up to, I would love to hear about it. Drop a comment, send me a message, or an email. I read everything. You can get my email in the podcast show notes or at sacredwhispers1111.com. And if you'd like to go deeper to explore your own soul's path, what your concurrent lives might be showing you, what your higher self might be working toward, I do personal readings and sessions, and the link is in the show notes also. So please share this podcast, comment, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. You have no idea how much that helps a small independent show like this one reach more people who need it. Remember, you are so much bigger than this one life. Until next week, keep listening to those whispers of wisdom.